This is Ken Hauer from the Rubicon Trail Foundation. Last week, John and I were filming on the Rubicon, doing the history of the trail. The video you're about to watch, we filmed a week ago on Thursday, and it's obviously now been edited and such. But we were fortunate enough to run into a gentleman named Doug Albright. Doug was 85 years old. And yeah, you heard it. I said was. It was only a week ago. And we were filming, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday. Didn't expect to see anybody on the trail. And a truck pulls up, stops right where we're filming at Gerle Ranch, the old Gerle Ranch. And anyway, long story short, we met Doug. And we asked if we could interview him. And he said yes. So, yeah, unfortunately, Doug passed away this week, and he was really, you'll see, he's a neat guy. He's a cattleman. And as Doug says, you show me a meadow, and I'll show you a cowman that took care of it. People like Doug just don't come along every day, and the fact that Doug showed up right in the middle of while we were filming, where he leased the land for his cattle, is I feel very fortunate. So go ahead, enjoy this interview, enjoy the video. Yeah, rest in peace, Doug. Hi, Ken Hauer, Rubicon Trail Foundation, and this is
John Arns, Rubicon Trail Foundation.
And we are continuing our, this is an interview series that we're doing. We did Mike and Sherry Arnold that you've seen. Well, we're very fortunate today that we're here at the lawyer camp, cow camp.
No,
What?
Gerle Ranch.
Gerle Ranch. Outtake or in? Who knows? Nobody knows for sure.
They're really both the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're at this amazing meadow is behind us. And you're going to hear more about it later in a bit. But we're going to, John is going to sit down and walk around and show you some stuff around here with Doug Albright, who has been ranching in and around this area since he was 49 years old when he became
no. Way before that. He moved out when he was 49.
Oh, right. That's
came
correct.
Back. So when he was a young man, he moved here, and he moved to El Dorado County and started ranching here.
Yeah, long time, and he's
in the 60s.
And he is 85 years old, and he is still doing it. So let's head to that interview and check it out.
Yeah, it's called at Rob's and
yeah.
the power line meadow, because now it's a power line.
Yeah.
Well, can you say that again? I wasn't all recorded, so we have it.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Meadow.
How's that spelled? Do you know?
O-R-I-E-L-L-I, I think. And I think it's named after one of the old dairy farmers. That brought dairy cows up.
So it's probably so that's Italian, not
Italian or Swiss, or
Swiss maybe. Well, but the
there,
Swiss and Italian cross.
Yeah.
I mean, their borders are right there. They cross over a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh. Interesting.
You can start at any time.
So, fortuitously, we're here with Doug Albright.
Wait, what does that mean?
That means
What does that mean?
so. Luckily,
Thank you.
that's a great outtake.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know what it meant.
I'll try not to get too fancy. So luckily, when we were here filming Gerle Ranch, we ran across Doug Albright, and Doug is a rancher, and he runs cattle on this piece of property. Is that right?
Yep, true.
You have a ranch in the front country, I assume.
Home ranch is in Somerset.
In Somerset.
Grizzly Flat Road.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
It's the old Myers Ranch.
Oh, okay. Do you know my friend Merlin Scott?
I don't.
Okay, he's another, are we old timers? He's an old timer that lives out there, and he's done a lot on the Rubicon Trail. He's a sheriff's deputy. Anyway, so Doug has a home ranch in Somerset, and in the El Dorado County, it's used to be very common to run cattle in the front country during the winter and then move them up to the high country in the summer, right?
Right, around the 15th of June
Yeah.
till the 15th of October. 1st of November.
In the old days, they used to just drive them up the road.
1976, the year of the drought, they quit driving them.
Because it took too much water off of them.
Because of the drought.
Was it because it took too much water off them, or didn't have any way to...
No, it was a 3-day drive. They started, like Doc Shiver was on French Creek Road, Single Springs, Lionel Wilson, and John Forney, I think, were the 3 that drove cattle to the mountains. But they quit. A lot of it was the traffic, too. The traffic got pretty bad, so... But I think it was either 75 or 76 was the last cattle drive to the mountains. So, and then, I know what it was during the drought, the government had a program to truck them.
So the government paid you to truck them up?
Yeah, another government program. So they trucked them up. I wasn't part, I was too young then.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and...
Me too.
Yeah, both liars. So when after they trucked them for a couple of years, then they lost the lead cows. So that was another one of the reasons why they quit driving. But the biggest reason too was the traffic in El Dorado County just got so bad.
Yeah. All those 70,000 people that lived here back then.
Yeah, that's all there was. But
Yeah.
even I had the home ranch on French Creek Road next to the Shivers Ranch, and we used to be able to still drive cattle from field to field down off the main roads.
So for those that don't know, French Creek Road is in Shingle Springs.
Shingle Springs, yeah.
And how far in distance is that to drive up here? Probably...
An hour and 15 minutes.
No, I meant to drive the cattle.
Oh, it was a 3-day drive. They
3-day
stopped
drive.
in Pleasant Valley, and then I don't know where they stopped the second day, but it was at the old Avicino Ranch, or in that area of Pleasant Valley Road and Newtown Road, that area is where they...
And the second day, they probably just stopped in the forest somewhere. They probably had a meadow somewhere. They stopped in the forest, I guess.
Well, some of them, like Doc started down at White Meadow, so he started low, and the other ones, Forney was over on, I think back then, all 3 of them stopped at White Meadow, and then they go to their different allotments.
Got
it. Shivers was up at Jones Rackham Road, and Forney's was Pyramid Peak.
Right.
And
he still has, there's the historical Forney cabin still up there on the side of Pyramid,
And then the Wilson cabin was at Wrights Lake.
Right.
And that was Bud Wilson, and then his son Lionel.
And then there was a whole group that, the Bockies and that group, that were over out of Coloma, right?
Yeah, Coloma Ranch is in Coloma, Bockie Ranch is in Coloma.
Yeah.
And then they used to go, and I think they're back going there up around Uncle Tom's cabin, that area.
So they're running cattle again up there.
I think they are. I can't say for sure, but they went to Oregon. They just made a swap with the Forest Service. Eddie Bockie was Brian's son, and Francis Bockie was Brian's brother.
Okay.
And they had kind of a part in other ways, and but they bought a ranch up in Klamath Falls for summer grazing. But I hear now that they're running back over there.
Huh, interesting.
But some of the old timers like Marge and, geez, I can't think of his name, Marge and Carmen, they boarded me when I had the 200 pair allotment at Union Valley. They boarded me at Heartless Mountain.
Oh, okay. I know. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So there's none of them left now.
You're it?
They're all dead.
You're the only one left?
Yeah, well, Francis is dead. Eddie Bockie's dead. Howard and Nielsen, he's got a nice son named Tim that's got his, but they had an allotment up on Iron Mountain Road, and they got burned out in the Caldor fire.
Sure.
So I hear from Tim that they may not even go back to the mountains. And then Lionel Wilson, he went to Idaho, and so he ran cows around Ice House and Wrights Lake. He died, but his dad died back in the late 70s, early 80s.
So this cattle and dairy business in El Dorado County is a dying trade.
Well, there's a lot of, I'm finding there's a lot of the And I don't say smaller, that's not fair, but 100 cows, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. But I used to rent every broken down ranch in El Dorado County.
Yeah.
And fix fence, constantly fix fence, constantly have that animal control on me.
For the cows coming out, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't a big thing back
Right,
40 years, 50 years ago. It wasn't a big thing.
They just come hunt you down and you put the cows back in.
That's right, but they got tired of hunting it down.
Yeah, no doubt.
It changes, you know, people change. And then the people coming into the county change a little bit also.
I'd be one of those.
Yeah, well, I've come into the county later in life too, so we're all I don't judge people. It was usually fatlanders, but I never did that. It was,
Well, you know a lot of people around the county. You know that this county can be kind of cliquey that way. You were either born here or you weren't.
yeah, but I wasn't born here, and I got the old timers at Hagen. My friend Maurice, he helped me when I ran 200 cows in this country, and
Same. I've made some great friends here.
Great friends, and I still got them.
Yep, me too.
They were teenagers when I met them, and they're in their 60s now, and we're still good friends.
Good.
Yeah. So, and I was in Idaho for 22 years because there was too much traffic.
So you moved to Idaho to run cows up there.
Yeah.
Did it get too cold for you? Is that why you came back?
I loved it. No, I loved the season changes. A 5 below zero never bothered me. I had 160 cows, and I farmed 200 acres. I never farmed before in my life. First time I farmed.
So how old were you when you started farming?
I left here. I was 49 years old, and I started fresh, different country, different farm. Start to farm and stuff like that. And I loved it, and I still love. I still got Idaho presence. I still spend half my time in Idaho.
And obviously you still love this life because you're still doing it.
When the beer camps, Doug was a good friend of mine. When he offered this place to me, it was like coming back home. It was just to be back in the mountains again. Because when the old cowman, when we ran cows up here, we moved up here. It wasn't just back and forth. We moved up here.
Right.
We slept in cabins.
It was too far to come to do it every few days or every day.
Oh, it was too far to come, but you took care of your cows. It was the other thing. They get camped in a meadow, and you say, well, geez, we got to get them out of here to keep the feed, keep from them destroying the meadow. But it was Pete and Marge Carmen. I feel bad I forgot. I didn't forget. I did.
Couldn't think of the name, yeah.
Yeah, great people. But no, the cowman that I knew, Lonell, the Wilsons, the Shivers, Nielsen's, and when I got this allotment, it was the old Swift allotment. You had talked about the Upper Bassy cabin. The Swifts owned that. They did at one time.
And then
they left and went to Oregon, and I had a little 60-pair brush allotment up above Grizzly Flat. So when I got this allotment, it was
much better graze, yeah.
And I got it because I knew the country. I used to ride with Doc Schreiber all the time and learned a lot from that old guy. And
that's great.
Now I'm the old guy.
Now you're the old guy.
People are learning from me.
Teaching us youngsters, huh?
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. I personally think that there's a lot of good young people, but they don't think like we do.
I think that's correct. I have kids that I think a lot. I'm proud of my children and my adult children.
Yeah.
But they don't think like I do.
No. I tell them that like my phone is just a little flip phone, and they laugh at that. And I've never owned a credit card in my life, never once.
So I'm in between you.
Yeah. But things have changed, and I don't think I have. So I don't feel like an outsider by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know. It's just.
I don't feel like an outsider in El Dorado County either, but it is different. It's different not having grown up with all these people and gone to high school with them and so forth.
Yeah. There's a lot of history in this country, and I was talking to you earlier about that Johnny Hill. She knew this country. and she drew a lot of the old cabins and pictures.
Now, I heard that she's still alive and living in
I hope she is.
and living in Topaz Lake, and that she's someone that I want to interview.
Oh, I would. Yeah, she's just she was a fantastic artist, and I think I got one or two pictures.
I have one of hers hanging in my hallway.
Yeah, and then at Robb's Valley, Les Clementson was probably the oldest old timer up here. He was at Stone Cellar, so you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
That was Archie Lawyer. I think that's who they bought it from, Archie Lawyer's family. Now Ray Lawyer was Archie's dad, or Archie was Ray's dad.
I think Archie was Ray's dad.
Okay, yeah. But he's the one that built Robb's Valley.
Right.
Yeah, and that was probably early '80s when he built that.
Yep, and it's had
two owners.
One owner, and then the current owner. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah. In fact, I went to Les and Judy. They had a service. Judy died first, and then Les died a little later. But when Judy died, I met Tom. I'll think of his last name. But he parks his trailer there at the old O'Reilly Meadow, where my old cow camp was, Robb Valley Resort, and he took me in there.
Oh, to Robb's Valley?
Yeah, because it's privately owned now, and they got a cable across
I know
it.
I know the owner real well.
Oh, you do?
Craig
Okay.
Smith and his son. If you wanted to go meet him and walk around in there, I'd love to take you. Okay, good.
Yeah, and Les had all antiques in there, and had pictures that Johnny Hill drew of all the cowboys.
Right.
Lionel was in there, Schreiber, myself.
Back in the old days, all the people that ran the Rubicon in the 90s and in there, when on our way out of the Rubicon, our standard stop was go to Rob's, have a beer, have a hamburger, and then head home. And all that stuff was still in there.
That was Les and Judy. Did you know Les?
Just to say hi.
Yeah, great people. They come up. She lived in Washington, right on the Sound.
Puget Sound, yeah.
Yeah, and they go there after they close up around Halloween. Close up Robb's Valley, and then they would go there for the
winter.
Yeah, and then when I went to Idaho in 1993, they come in the spring of the year and spend 6 weeks.
Nice, that's a pretty good visit.
Oh, it was, yeah. And Les was, he used to call me Bull Strength and Stupidity.
That's a good nickname.
That's the way I would work, but he was an extremely smart man. He would do things, find the easiest way to do them and do them. He used his brain, and I used his bull strength and stupidity. So, but great friends. I enjoyed having them. They spent 6 weeks with me in Idaho, and then they would come down, and after he sold, they'd open up Robb's Valley Resort, and then after they sold that, they still had Stone Cellar.
Right.
So that's a group of cabins, and they had a nice big kitchen there, and just a heck of a nice place.
For those of you who don't know Stone Cellar is the group of cabins that you can see from Chipmunk Bluff on the road to Loon Lake. You can see it down below in that big, beautiful green meadow.
Yeah, there's a nice meadow there. Yeah. That again was part of my. It was called the Rondoni allotment, the one I had. And excuse me, I didn't know anything about Rondoni. I knew that going back all the way to Rufus Swift, he ran cows there, and then his daughter was Phyllis Fox. She married Kurt Fox, who was the head of one of the top in the CDF. It was back there. It's called Cal Fire.
Cal Fire, yeah.
And they moved to Oregon, and I got their allotment. 19 people applied, and I had the allotment in Grizzly Flat. That's in the Placerville district. This is the Pacific district.
They're both the same district now, but yes.
Oh, are they? Well, they were back then.
Back then they were separate, yeah.
Yeah. So I put in for it, and the Forest Service, Molly Fuller was one of the.
I don't know that name.
She was one of the Forest Service, and Rich Platt.
I know Rich well, yeah.
Yeah, and Rich, they recommended me, and I got that 200 pair allotment.
And Rich is still around. He lives in Pollock Pines. I see him every once in a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, I see him. I see him a couple, 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Forest Service is different now.
Forest Service is different now. And I've always said this, if you went back to the Forest Service 50 years, there were a lot of people that walked and a lot of people that rode horseback.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And then 20 years after that, everyone switched to trucks. And now everyone has their own truck, and it's a different agency.
It is, yeah.
Yep.
We used to have a meeting every spring before we went on, and the old Forest Service, the Rich Platts, and I can't remember all the names, but they...
You might want to bring up Sherry and her grandfather.
Oh, Sherry, I don't know his name.
Francis Bakke?
No, Sherry Arnold, who I don't remember her maiden name, so you wouldn't. I can't.
You can.
Yeah, anything you tell me, because I don't want.
Her father, wasn't it?
Her grandfather was the district ranger up here, but that was before your time.
Before my time.
That was in the, well, maybe not. Maybe not. That would have been in the 30s and 40s.
No, yeah, I'm not that old.
Well, neither is Sherry, but Sherry was a little kid Sherry was a child when.
What was his name?
I can't remember his name. That's the problem, is I can't remember his name.
See, Rich wasn't the head of the forest.
Oh no, he was a range guy.
Yeah.
And he retired about 15 years ago, I would guess, maybe 20.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
But he had 35 years on this district when he retired, probably. Yeah.
Well, I don't mind you guys mention her if.
No, it's not that. I just can't remember the name.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But I never met, it's somebody I don't know.
They would do the, where they would ride the horse. Remember, Sherry would ride the horse, and they would go, like, over the course of a series of days through, like, desolation. And
Oh, there's probably a trail. Used to, you see, that's another, if you got time, that's the other whole new deal, was that the cows in the Rockbound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you took cows into Rockbound?
I never did, but I used to help Doc Schreiber.
Okay, and he must have taken them in from Tells Creek.
From Pearl Lake.
Well, okay.
Yeah, they went
through Tells Creek from Pearl Lake. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the year was probably 86, maybe. They had that snowstorm in end of September, opening weekend of deer season.
Mm-hmm.
And Doc's cows got snowed in there. And I was gathering down here, and he asked me if I'd go in with a friend of mine, Ed Hagan, a friend of Doc's. So the three of us went in.
I know that name from somewhere. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's kind of well known in El Dorado County. And we spent 5 days in there, gathering all his cows in 3 feet of snow, living in the Rockbound cabin. It's still there, still standing. And we brought those cows out.
So the Rockbound cabin, is that at Rockbound Lake or on the trail?
It's just north of China Flat.
Okay, on the trail to Rockbound. Yeah, the Rockbound Pass,
Yeah, well, you can go in 2 ways. We used to go in the old Stock Drive Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And take the cows in. And I never helped Doc bring them out, but he brought them out opening weekend of deer season on the Rockbound Trail.
Okay.
So, but I never helped him. I've been on the Rockbound Trail, but I never helped him bring cows out. But the year they got snowed in, that was an interesting.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. He come out. He had a heart attack a little while after, a couple weeks after that. So
probably
just the stress.
Stress got him.
Yeah. The 85 pair we went in.
And anybody who's ever gotten caught in a surprise snowstorm and wondered what the outcome was going to be while you're still alive and looking around, knows exactly what you're talking about.
But you talk about the old timers, what they knew. Doc was in there when the snowstorm hit, and he told me, he said the first storm, it was two stages of storm. He said the first one I wasn't worried, but he said the second one, he said I knew I was in trouble. But he knew this country so well, and his son Clarence still knows it. Of all the people I know, Clarence probably knows this country as good as anybody. But he knew that there was an old trail that went from Rockbound, and you could go north around Loon Lake. And
that trail's gone. It's underwater
it was,
now.
yeah, that trail was gone.
Well, so some of that was that part of the was that the trail that they built the construction road over?
I can't answer that because
Okay.
I don't know. No, not the Rubicon Trail Road.
No, the construction road for the dam.
No, you come in from the south and go across the dam, because when we brought him out, he had panels set up there. But anyways, when he got snowed in, he remembered that old trail. Most people didn't even know it existed. So that's how they got out. They couldn't go over Red Peak because there was 3-4 feet of snow on Red Peak. So they got out that way. And then he hired a helicopter to drop hay to the cows.
Until enough snow melted. And
but the peaks never did. The peaks didn't
Sure.
melt. But we went in about, I think around the 10th of October, something like that. We finally got in. And that's where I give Rich Black credit, is he let us take a chainsaw in to open up the trail to bring the cows out.
And they probably all would have died otherwise, yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think he only ended up losing one cow. We only found one dead cow. And that was bloat. The hay was too good, and they hadn't eaten it in 3 or 4 days.
And they got bloated, yeah.
That hay bloated them.
Yeah, sure.
But that was...
Too rich.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, the leafy hay is not good for cows. But I think back on that, and I had a chance, or it gave me a chance and experience the way the old real cowboys, because I don't consider myself much of a cowboy. The way they lived, they go out, gather for 10, 15 days, 2 months, whatever, and sleep on the ground. And but I had a chance to live the way they lived for 5 or 7 days, whatever it took us to get those
Was that enough for you?
No, I loved it.
Okay.
I'd go back again. I still kind of live that way now. As I was telling you earlier, the way I live, nobody lives like that, like I do anymore. Or very few people. I should never say nobody, but very few people do.
Sure.
But this country here is it's just amazing country.
Can we take a walk around and look at some stuff?
You betcha.
Let's do that.
Yep. And then this is I'm going to tell you what I think it is, and it's 99% probably right. But this country used to, back at the turn of the 18th, 19th century, the dairy cows were in this country, and that was the milk cows.
There were a lot of German, Swiss, and Italian immigrants.
Yeah. If you look at a lot of these names, O'Reilly Meadow was, the Pearl Lake cabin was Rupley, but the Michigan cow was the Antone.
And a lot of those names were old ranchers and dairy farmers, and they
bring their cows
up to the high country the same way the beef cattle did. But they would make cheese up here.
Yeah, they would, and they make, and that's what most of the milk went for, as far as I know, was for cheese and buttermilk.
And Maurice was telling me they had roadside stands where they sold cheese. Right on Highway 50, which is that time.
That was quite a few years ago.
That time the Tahoe Road, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know exactly when the cowman came in this country, but they adopted the old way of the dairy farmers, because we belled all our cows.
Okay.
And people say, "What do you bell them for?" Well, just look at this country.
Yeah, you got to avoid some brush popping.
Yeah, Doc and I one time were looking for strays, and it was just one cow and one calf, and we finally found track, and we tracked her into a willow patch, and we're listening for the bell, and we never could hear the bell. So Doc said, "Well, we want Doc's cows." He said, "Right around the other side." So I right around the other side. I said, "Doc, I see her, but she's got both her hoofs up all over the bell, and she's so it won't race. That's how smart the cows are. But you
They
know
were
that,
hiding. They were hiding with their.
you
With
know
their,
that's just a joke.
yeah, sure.
But yeah, we belled all the cows. Every cow got a bell on. The calves never did, because the cow would wean the calves up here sometimes, just because the cow would go that way and the calf would be laying down or something. But it made it easy in this kind of country. It's trees, willows, different elevations, and it just makes
Steep
it that much
canyons, and
easier.
yeah.
Now, when I bring the little jag cows I got now, I bring them with Rick Gillespie, brings a little jag up. I still put bells on them, just because that's the way we did it. And even though this is an all fenced area now.
I was in Utah. I go to Utah every year with some friends. I was in Utah this year, and for the very first time, we went into, you open a gate and you go in, you close it, and you go and you go and you go into someone's range, and for the first time this year, I saw a herd of probably 300 or 400 cows scattered out over this field, and every one of them had a chain with the GPS on their neck.
That's how things have changed.
Yep, they have.
Yeah, it's called virtual fencing.
Virtual fencing.
Yeah, in other words, they set up a big tower, and those, as a cow gets close to the radio wave, I'm not familiar with any of that, but it sets off a little deal on them, and
they know where they are.
Yeah, so you don't have to fence even anymore. But it's also,
You have a flip phone. We're not surprised.
the only reason I got that is because you can't get a landline anymore.
Does he remind you of Merlin Scott?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But to the GPS is also, they can
Track them.
yeah, off a computer, or I don't know how the heck they do it, but it's just way beyond me. But I don't want any part of that.
I do know, and I could tell you, but it doesn't make any difference.
It won't to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like the old ways, and
Sure.
yeah, and think of her name. We cleaned it up and made it livable, and I love it. It's just like the old cabins.
My
now.
favorite part about it is the tin can flashing over the end of each rafter.
And tell them what that's for.
I'm assuming that's to keep the bugs from getting in the end of there,
No.
or for the water to run off of.
Rot.
Right, yeah. So
Yeah,
water
if the
runs
water
off.
comes off too fast, as the water comes off on those ends, because that's just lodgepole pine. Monique is Rick's. I'm sorry,
That's right.
I forgot her. No, they put that tin on because that end of the log, that's all just logs.
It's open grain, yeah.
It rots.
Mm-hmm.
So they put the tin over to
Keep it
keep
from
the
rotting.
water
Keep the
off.
water out
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Because if it runs over the tin, it's fine. Runs over the end of the rafters, it's not.
And looking at that tin, that is original.
Yeah, it's been there a long time.
Yeah.
Can we take a walk out in the meadow?
Sure.
Let's do that. Watch out for the wire there. So we're out here in Gerle Meadow, and I'm going to step aside for a second because it is so beautiful. Look at that. Okay, we'll come back. This is where Doug runs his cows up here. And
Yeah, I run Rick Gillespie and my son, the three of us.
run cows here.
Yeah.
And they've done a lot of. Tell us what you've done to preserve this meadow.
Just like all the meadows in the mountains since the cowman left, has overgrown with lodgepole pine.
Mm-hmm.
And well, your camera's not showing it, but
Oh yeah, it is. You can see them back there.
yeah.
And they start out a million little tiny ones, and then
Exactly.
they overgrow the meadow.
They actually encroach on the meadow, and they take a lot of water, and most of the meadows are just completely obliterated, gone.
Have you seen what the Forest Service has done with the meadow by Francis?
Yeah, is that Calf Meadow?
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Rich McCauley, was a contractor
Oh,
on
okay.
that. He did the work, and it really made me mad.
Let's turn that way a little bit. There we go.
It made me mad because, first of all, they call it's called calf pasture is the name of it,
Mm-hmm.
and they call it Calf Meadow, but they blame the loggers and the cows for the deterioration of the meadow, and that's not true. The loggers cannot go into the meadows by law.
Right.
And the cowmen are smart enough to know,
To wait until there's no water in them.
wait till the grass, there's no cows here now because the grass isn't tall enough. We got to get it up 6-7 inches.
And if you let cows in here now, it's so muddy underneath, it'd be a mess. It'd ruin all your grass.
Compact it. So actually, that calf pasture was the condition it was in because it was neglected.
Because the cows were gone.
Cows were gone, the loggers are gone,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the shame of the Forest Service.
Well,
That's the shame of the hardcore environmentalists.
I agree with that, but I'll say this: the Forest Service engineered, the new Forest Service engineered getting all that cut down. They're not going to take it out of there. They're just going to cut it down so it'll go back to meadow.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep the lodge pole out of there.
But instead of a cowman paying them,
Yeah.
they're paying somebody to do what
They're
we
using our
did.
tax dollars to do it now.
We had, in fact, Maurice's kids were little, 6, 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I give them a pair of loppers, and in the meadow you go out and lop off all those little lodgepole pine sprigs.
Yep, and get them before they require a chainsaw.
Before they get like this one behind us.
Yep, before they need a chainsaw.
Yep, yeah. So we've cleared. If you see that line of trees right there.
Yeah.
First of all, we took trees. There's a stump right over
I see
there.
it, yeah.
Yeah. We opened up all this meadow, and then with chainsaws, piling brush, cutting firewood, making a couple dollars off the firewood, we opened up a lot of this. So, we've seeded every place we burn. We seed in the snow, and you can't see any of our burn piles or where we burn. And I bet you we probably burned 100 or 200 brush piles.
Well, this is a restoration project to be proud of.
Yeah, but I'm kind of like the instant satisfaction of getting the trees down, getting it burned, getting it, and there's grass the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but I blame environmentalists. I blame a little bit on the Forest Service. Why these meadows, all of them, are in such bad shape.
Yep.
And I thought that calf pasture was a private paid for that.
I thought it was a forest, but I could be wrong.
It could be. I'd be interesting to find out the answer to that. But I wish they'd come in and do all the meadows.
Yeah, that'd be great because this is what they looked like in the old days.
Oh no.
No, I
In
mean
the old days, the meadow went. See, a lot of those trees, 40 years old is all they are.
right. And I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
It's a lot bigger, but
Yeah.
this is how they looked.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, yeah. And this meadow had a start. It was I remember, and then we walked the whole thing, and the fence, the old fence line, the property lines, was just overgrown.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first thing I said, I'm going to take this. My son looked at. He wasn't with me then, but when I told him what the project was, he said, "No, what for? What for?" He's tickled to death now.
I'll bet.
But we spent the first year. We spent over 70 man hours clearing the fence line and putting up a new fence. It's only 120, 130 acres, but it's completely fenced now.
So are you planning to keep pushing this meadow back?
Oh yeah, I'm not going to
every year
stop.
some more.
Yeah, I'm too young to want to stop.
How old are you, Doug?
85.
Yeah, you're right. You're too young to stop.
Yeah, I'll be 85 in July. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful spot.
It is, yeah. No, I just love it. Yeah.
Well, this is beautiful. Thanks for bringing us out here. And for those who aren't real oriented here, the Rubicon Trail, Wentworth Springs Road, is not more than 200 yards away from us here, and you just don't see it because it's private, and you can't see it because it belongs to a private owner, and it's posted, so you can't come back here. But man, it sure is pretty.
Yeah, Mother Nature, I got to give her credit. The good Lord upstairs, he takes good care of what he can take good care of, but the responsibility's on us.
That's true.
For sure.
That's true. Well, it sure was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a key grip. Doug's our key grip right now.
Yeah, I know what that is.
All right, so that pretty much wraps up the Francis cow camp.
I'm
Nope,
going
the
to start over again with the Gerle Ranch.
Gerle Ranch, Gerle Ranch, Gerle Ranch.
Gerle Meadow, Ray Lawyer cow camp.
So
On the map, it's Ray Lawyer.
I think, well,
You do it the way you're doing it.
so I'm not making an argument. I'm going to explain why I call it Gerle Ranch. So the reason I call it Gerle Ranch is because originally it was Gerle Ranch, and it got sold. The Gerle brothers owned it. Yeah, so the Gerle brothers bought it from Indians. They owned it. It was Chris and Christopher and Charles, the Gerle brothers, owned it. They had a hog farm here, and they trucked over the Rubicon. They trucked to Virginia City with their hog products, and they did that on purpose because at that time Virginia City was a bigger market than Sacramento, and they had a silver boom, and people didn't.
Money hand over fist.
Yeah,
They had money, and they just wanted food.
yeah, demand for it. Yeah.
Yep, and so the demand was there, and the price was high.
And then tell them what happened
So then, 20 years later,
in the 1880s.
around 1880, the brothers got in a poker game in Virginia City, and Chris lost his half to Charles, and it was still the Gerle Ranch, but there was only one Gerle.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't Chris's ranch anymore.
Who was the other half owner?
It was just the Gerle brothers.
The two
He
brothers.
lost it to his brother.
To
Yeah,
his brother,
in
to
a
his
poker
brother,
game.
in a poker game. So now just he owned it. He sold it to California Water and Power, who owned a lot of stuff up here, from here to Georgetown and down to Placerville, all over the place.
They owned a couple thousand acres.
Thousands of acres, yeah. So they owned it for a while, and they probably had it just for the water rights for Gerle Creek.
Yeah.
And then they sold it in the 1920s sometime to the Wagners.
Yeah.
The Wagners married the Veerkamps.
No, they sold it to the California Water and Power.
No, that's what I said.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said. California Water and Power sold
Yeah.
it to Wagners.
Was Barbara's father.
Right.
Yeah.
And by marriage it ended up with the Veerkamp name.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Veerkamp and actually there were two sisters, Barbara and Jim Wunchel's sister were sisters.
So they were part owners?
Yeah. Well, they both
partnered.
inherited it. Are you going to get back on that?
Oh, yeah, if you could hold them while we finish this. This outro will only take a minute. Once you guys two have finished your love fest on the...
Barbara and her sister inherited it from George Wagner.
Okay.
Jim Wunschel is son to Barbara's aunt. So when Mrs. Wunschel died, Jim inherited
That half of it. Okay.
Yeah, so right
See, I
now-
didn't know this.
Yeah, right now it's
Half.
Veerkamp and Wunschel.
It's half Wunschel, half Veerkamp.
Yeah, yeah,
And which Wunschel, is Jim Wunschel still alive?
yeah. Oh, yeah. He's, I think he's about 70.
Oh, he's a young guy.
Great guy.
Young guy.
Yeah, great guy.
All right, John, that was an absolutely incredible opportunity to have an interview with Doug Albright.
And I met a great guy. How cool.
Unbelievable. Gave us a little tour and just an incredible history of the whole cattle ranching and pigs and milk and cheese and all that stuff.
100 years of cattle agriculture history in El Dorado County.
Exactly. Just an incredible sheer luck opportunity that we had. We really hope these kinds of things, they're disappearing. The people that do this, Doug is in his 80s. He's still a young man. He's very as you've noticed, yeah, he's got a great sense of humor. But this kind of lifestyle is disappearing. People want to be influencers and IT people. I don't know who would want to do that these days. Yeah, YouTubers. So anyway, just what a great opportunity. Really hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course,
comment, and let's go wheeling.
Let's go wheeling. Thank you so much for watching. With Doug.
Now, what are you going to do?
We're going to film an introduction. Like,
Oh, yeah, good. I don't have to be in it.
nope. You can watch and make fun of us.
Oh, I will. Yeah, I'll do that.
You can do faces. Well, that's.
No, I won't. Yeah, I'll leave you guys in. You don't.
Yeah.